up, everybody? What up, everybody? Let's talk about it. It's April Dawn. What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. Let's talk about it. Everybody, it's April Dawn. Let's talk about it. This is Fargo Season 4, Episode 10. All right, y'all, I'm about to get headed out on this highway and get to my mom's house for Thanksgiving. My mom is out of town. My uncle sadly died from COVID in July, so his funeral, we had his funeral already, but the burial in Arlington Cemetery, they finally got an opening this weekend, so they went on Sunday. They'll be back on Wednesday. So I'm being the good older daughter, the responsible child, and I'm going to help my mama make some Thanksgiving dinner. She want me to make macaroni and cheese, and I like to eat it, but I ain't that good at making it, okay? I can cook, but we gonna see, because I've never done a Thanksgiving all by myself. We gonna see, y'all. This episode was good. It was jam-packed. They set us up for a good finale. We got the ending of some storylines, and let's go ahead and get into it. We start off this episode with a war on the streets, honey. It's crimes. This body's dead all over the place. People are dying left and right from everybody's crew, from Lloyd's crew, from the Fada crew, both of the crews getting killed, and ran through a lot with this killing that's going on. We see violence headlines on the papers in the streets, and all violence is running rapid during this war. Another man that's dead at the mortuary, and we can see that all these bodies are getting, filtered through this same mortuary, Ethelrida's mortuary, or Ethelrida's parents' mortuary. We see Orietta staring at Ethelrida as she takes out her trash in the morning. She's giving her the death stare across the street. We also see Otis. He has put all his little figurines back in place. He feels good and resolute in his decision to be a good cop now. We also see that Otis has called in a raid on the gate on the Fada's headquarters at this restaurant. Everybody gets arrested, and Josto looks at him like, basically, you a dead man. The boy is talking to his wife, and basically she's saying, they're gonna try to take over. And they're talking about somebody that's coming to visit that we will see, later on or whatever. She's basically saying, you losing the war. He flicks her hand away because he thinks that she's about to cut him. And she's like, how long have I been cutting your hair? Have I ever cut you? And you could tell he was like, no, and she goes back to talking. She says he's going to try to take you out, or he's going to try to take over. And he said maybe, but he's a country boy. He don't want no big city headache. He says, well, why would he want this big city headache? And he says he wants the power. So we see Lionel arrive, his AKA Happy, and he says what happened to his cousin, deserves a conversation. His cousin was Leon, the one that he beat for talking about Dr. Senator. So he said, I sent him down here. He was meant for you to show him the ropes. And he says, okay, well, how many strikes do you get? Is a strikeout. Lloyd is like, you ain't going to just be disrespecting me and think I ain't going to knock your ass upside the head. He says, well, you're losing this war. And he said, well, you always lose until you win. That's why it's called underdog. And he said, well, where I'm from, people listen to their elders. And as you can see, one of his goons, one of his shooters, one of his lackey, one of his compadres, has two pictures behind it. He holds these two pictures wherever Happy goes this episode. He has those two pictures, I guess, so he can get wisdom from the ancestors. Basically, he said the country folk think that their head is getting too high. He said, well, who is they? And he was like, the fathers, the grandfathers, the people who live their life in bondage. He said, the only thing that's worse than living in darkness is stepping into the light. So if we born at the bottom, we should stay on the bottom. This is Lloyd's reply. And he says, basically he's saying, if you think the picture in the paper is just a picture of you, you are sadly mistaken. These police will hem up anybody. They don't care what the color is. So while you running rampant in these streets, other black people are paying the price for that because white people are mad about what you're doing. The wife basically breaks it down as like, look, we are family. Your mama and my mom is like sisters, which makes my family your family, which means you need to help us, okay? So you already know they gonna bust our head first after they string me up. After they string me up, they're going to be stringing you up next. So you about their life or whatever. Stop playing. So it was nice to see Lloyd's wife take an assertive role in this negotiation, right? So he says, okay, I just need some of your men to puff me up for a couple of weeks and, or for a little while, basically I need some of your men from the country to puff me up. So he agrees to this deal, but he says that you're going to have to make it right for my cousin. And he was like, what you mean? How much? And he just gets up and he walks away. Oh, he didn't make his decision until after he consulted the ancestors. I wanted to let y'all know that part. That shit was funny to me. After he leaves, Lloyd talks about 2 weeks. He don't think that's going to be enough. And his wife says that'll be enough time. But we need to end this thing quick. And he's like, well, if I kill the brothers, they're just going to send 2 more. And she says, I don't care about them. I want justice for my boy, and then we can make a deal. This gets a standing ovation as he comes into the office. His boss tells him he's the flavor of the month, said the mayor likes the job he's doing. He saw his picture in the paper, and he said, man, I'm just trying to keep the streets clean. Another officer comes to him and says, hey, you watching your back? And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, bro, if you biting the hand that feeds you, eventually you gonna get starved. Or basically, your ass gonna die. You keep playing with these people. Just as they're finished, his phone rings at the desk, and he answers the phone, and Jocelyn tells him that he's got a bullet with his name on it, and he's like, okay, well, you know, basically, like, he don't care, do what you gotta do, but he's like, okay, well, I know you don't want me to go downtown. You think I didn't take records of everything, money that you took from me? Maybe I should just send it to City Hall. You know, he's doing his usual intimidating techniques. Otis has decided now that he is going to be a good cop. He is not going to be deterred. He made up his mind. He said what he said, okay? Gasto is understandably pissed. He slams the phone down on the desk over and over and over again. He goes out to the main area, and E-Ball is talking to him. They just got word from New York. They want them to end all of this stuff. It's taking too long. It's too much drama. You know, you need to wrap this up. Josto is screaming, so
it's fighting for our lives too much.
Now, you know it's bad when Gaetano got to come over there and tell you, hey, listen, look how many men we've lost. We've lost this many men. How many men have they lost? They've lost this many men. You know, this fighting is just not good for business. They've lost too many people. Josto says, okay, well, we need another mulligan. We need somebody who, you know, is waiting in the wings. Somebody who thinks they can run everything. Somebody who thinks they're smarter than everybody else. You can see that Josto he really kind of knew Mulligan's modus operandus or whatever. Like, we got a little hint of that on this episode. They're going to try to replace, or they need somebody to replace Lloyd with. So they want to kill Lloyd and get rid of him. He's like, well, what do you want to do with the guy that's there now? He said, I don't know, but it probably rhymes with flirter. Kill his ass. Okay, I don't know. And they say, okay, well, what about that cop? And he was like, nobody turns their back on us and lives. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode, we did see Satchel walking down this long road. I mean, he easing on down the road with Toto, honey. He just walking and walking and walking and walking and walking. So we see Satchel with his dog. He's walking a very long road. And then we also see Ethelrida. She's in the library looking at all the newspaper clippings about all the wars that's going on. We don't exactly know what she's looking for, but we do see Oriida like appear on the screen, you know, like she sees Oriida. She asks her mother about Zelmare, and her mom says that she has not found a trap that she can squeeze out, that she can't squeeze out of, and a hole that she can't squeeze into. So basically, Zelmare is going to be all right. She asks about the family. Are they cursed? And then Debril starts to tell the story of their great-great-grandmother. So they came over, they were slaves, and the grandmother came first, or the granddaughter came first, or whatever the case may be. And she said that on the grandfather's trip over, there had a mean overseer, a mean boat captain. His name was something Roach, Theodore Roach or something like that. He was horrible to the people. People was drowning on the ship. The man was just laughing at people drown because they was chained together, 100 in the basement. So during this horrible storm, one of her relatives got close enough to him to where they could choke the shit out of him and kill his ass, okay? So ever since then, Theodore Roach has haunted them. He has a wooden nose, and she describes the way he looks, and when they feel him, they can hear the, you know, the waves, they can smell the water and all that type of stuff. She says, well, have we ever tried to get rid of him? And she said, yeah, your sister tried to banish him, but, you know, he doesn't like your sister. He likes sunshine. So he's drawn to sunlight. He likes happy things. Ethelrida, if you think about it, she's the only innocent in that whole family because the mom and daddy done dealt with the gangsters. And then you got Zelmare who out there killing people herself. So, you know, the ghost has haunted them. So now we got an explanation for this ghost that's been around this whole season, right? So I don't know if that was enough for me, but, you know, it served its purpose. As she's talking, Lemuel comes out and he's like, everything is, you know, put up where it's supposed to be. And, you know, I'm supposed to stay for a couple of days. I can sleep on the couch. And the mom was like, well, you know, I got a shotgun and I sleep light. And he was like, I know, but, you know, you just want to be mindful. You know what I'm saying? Let's just not take no chances. I'm going to say, okay, fine. And she goes back inside. Lemuel tries to make a little small talk with Ethelrida on the porch. You know, he asks her about a saxophone player. And she like, huh? I got other stuff going on, boy. I ain't thinking about you. And so they, right as their conversation gets going, she tells him that she wants to see his father. How can she meet with the father? Can, you know, Lemuel hook her up with the meeting or whatever? And so he's like, you want to talk to the boss man? And he was like, and she was like, yeah. I do. So at this moment, we see Orietta comes up on the porch and she's like waddling, you know, like a duck. So she finally gets to the porch and she's like, listen, Ethelrida, I need to talk to you at my apartment. And she was like, nah, ma'am, I ain't got nothing to say to you, girl. Like, I'm not going over there. And she was like, don't make me do this in front of your boyfriend. And he says, I'm not a boyfriend. I'm more like a suitor. I was like, come on, suitor, you better let her know you like her and you want to get with her. But then, you know, we see Orietta says, well, fine, we just gonna do it out here. I want my ring. She like charges at her. She says, well, you stole my ring. I know you stole my ring and I want it back. Give it back to me now. And so she's reaching at her. She says, I even might call the police. And Ethelrida says, call the police because I can tell them whatever else I saw in your house. All the potions I saw in your house, all of this, all of that. You know, she starts to name all the different things that she saw in Ethelrida's house. In Orietta's house. And Orietta is like, girl, nobody ain't gonna believe you, girl. And Lemuel was like, well, I believe her. And she was like, nobody that counts. She was like, what the hell that's supposed to mean? She was like, you know what it means. And it's gonna, she said it's a special place in hell for people who try to better somebody who give them charity or some shit like that. She was saying that ain't make no sense. And Ethelrida was like, is that place above or below where you about to go? Okay?
There's a word for people like you.
She said, no, that's not a word for people like me. That's the word you made up to make yourself feel like you was better than me, but that's not what I am. I live for Ethelrida. Okay? I was like, get her together.
Gather her.
So Ethelrida gathered her ass real quick, and she couldn't do nothing but walk away, bitch. Walk away, hoe. That's all you could do. You see that Happy is making a deal with Josto. They're going to put Leon as the head of the organization, which is stupid as hell, y'all. I just don't understand why. Like, he ain't going to be able to run it. I understand why they want him to run it, but he ain't even, like, halfway as smart as Lloyd is. But, okay. So he said he'll run things in the city. Oh, and Leon wanted to get smarty talking about, I don't have no problem with it. I'm just mad I can't kill him twice. Bitch. That's why your ass got beat the first time. You couldn't even beat him back up talking about killing him twice. Get out of here. He said he want control of the slaughterhouses. He want the east side. He want all of this stuff. And Josto was like, damn, I ain't got messed over this bad. I ain't got this bad since I was in prison. I said... I low-key love him, Josto, like, in this role. He's hilarious. As they're talking, the alderman comes into the office and he got some racist to say to everybody, child. He was like, what is this, a top secret meeting of the Hi-Ho Club? You know, he mean howdy-ho. You know, Cap Calloway is what he trying to say. You know what I mean? Black people. And what do they call them? WAPs or whatever they call the Italian people. So he came there because he needs to talk to Josto. He tells Josto, look, I don't want you with my daughter no more. The marriage is over with. The wedding is off. You're not about to be with my daughter no more because all this stuff that's going on in the streets is looking real bad. It's got me out here looking crazy. And I don't need to be associated with you wops and you this and that, dagos and all the racial slurs you can call somebody, right? And so Gaetano is overhearing this conversation because homeboy is getting very sporty to be surrounded by the enemy. You talking real reckless to people. And so Gaetano walk up to him and he says, you know, he done with him or whatever. And Gaetano punched him in the face and he's like, you can't punch an alderman. And he punched him again. So I wanted him to punch him. And so the alderman slips up out of there and Gaetano turns to Josto and he's like, wow, you did that for me. Thank you, big brother. And they have like a cute little moment between them. I really like them working together more than I like them being up against each other like the first half of the season. I did feel like Gaetano's role was coming to an end because he was nice way too much in this episode. Okay, we usually see him recklessly kill at least one person. But he had the most sense out of every damn body, so I knew that he wasn't going to last too much longer. Opal goes back to report to Lloyd and he's like, you know, boss man, he's still alive. He said, yeah, he's still alive. He was like, okay, well, I heard he had some visitors. And he was like, well, you know, I expect for Leon to be a snake, a skunk gon' skunk. And he was like, he was with Happy. And he's like, oh, shit. Now you trying to get a better deal with him than you trying to get with me? Oh, I see how you doing it. You're going to double cross me. Lloyd reflects for a moment on his wife's strength, the strength that she had to have that baby. Apparently he had a 12-inch head through her, you know, 6-inch dilation situation. So he couldn't even be that strong on his best day. And he says he thinks his best day are behind him. So you can see that he's starting to get discouraged about this war. He thinks that he's going to lose, especially now that Happy is going to double cross him. We see the split screen with Lloyd and we see Satchel walking down this lonely highway. Okay, life is a highway. I want to drive it all night long. He just walking. Yes, indeed, he's walking. Okay, he is walking. His ass is walking. As soon as I saw that red truck, I knew it was about to be some shit, okay? So they pull up, and they like...
Say more. What you doing out here by you lonesome, boy?
He look at them like, they like,
Can you hear me, boy? Are you deaf, boy?
and so he turns around, he says no. He kept the strap on him, so he pull out the strap, and he's like, no. No to you. No to telling me what to do. This is my world.
I'm the boss.
Nobody tells me anything. No to everything.
What's poppin'?
You know you gotta hold your sideways like this. What's poppin'? And the man was like, oh shit, let me get the, okay, we was gonna do some racist stuff to you, but you know, we decided to change our mind because we ain't got no gun. All right, bye. He did tell him to fuck off. I was like, that's right, you get them together, Satchel. Now, where you gonna go, baby? How you gonna get back home, baby? So down to the police station, Otis is now getting anxiety. He's thinking about everything he's done all day long. He shot Deffy. He thought about Lloyd. He owed him money. He thought about, or owed him. He owes, Justo and the Fargo crew. He owes everybody money. He's not money, but he owes everybody time and, you know, loyalty or whatever. But like he's thinking about it. He's 1 little 2 little 3 little, like he's getting upset, and he gets in the car with some guys that take him home. I mean, he gets a ride home every night. So Justo, Gaetano, and another guy, they're waiting outside his apartment for him to come home, and there's like, oh, he's not home yet, but we know he go to work a certain way, he comes home a certain way, he does the same thing every day, so you know, we know he's gonna come home this way. Well, I left something for him on the inside when he gets to his house, whatever. So once again, we are with Justo and Gaetano. They decide to wait in the car, and then we see, like, this is intercut with Otis coming home with the friends. So we have Gaetano and Justo get in the car, and they start to tell a story. Gaetano tells the story about why he was sent back to Italy in the first place. It was because he was loving this girl. Her name was Ethelrida. She was so beauty, and no man had ever loved her like he loved her. Nobody had ever loved like he loved, okay? So he says that he loved this girl so much, he went outside, he would tell her every day how much he loved her, and so it worked. She was on his balcony, it was on a fire escape, and they was talking, and you know, they was canoodling, and the daddy caught them, and the daddy went to choke their ass up, right? Choke his ass up, and he was killing him, and he said, so I grabbed some glass and I stabbed him, and he was like, oh, that's why he wears, they was like, oh, yes, that's why he wear that patch on his eye, man, because I stabbed him, man. And so they sent him back to Italy for that. He says when they got back to Italy, you know, he was alone. He didn't realize how alone he was until, I guess, somebody died or whatever. You know, everybody died around him. In the black church, they took everything. And he was walking around in dead man's shoes for 3 weeks. Like, Gaetano had reasons to be why he is, to be the way he is. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't gonna act like Gaetano just came out the womb ignorant, because he seemed like he kind of sweet, you know, a little bit. Gaetano seemed like he could probably be real sweet. He a hard-blooded, cold-blooded killer, because he has been in a situation that no children should be in. So I definitely knew at that moment that he was about to die. So at this moment, we see Otis. He pulls up and he goes into his apartment. And you know, he 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, he doing all that shit taking too long, okay? Like, he get in the apartment, because you can tell he's kind of nervous. And when he comes into his apartment, he turns on the light. He goes to start flicking the lights. And he sees that his apartment has been trashed. And not only has it been trashed, all his figurines was broke, y'all. And the picture of his wife, her eyes were like gouged out in the picture. I said, not the wife. He was pissed. Okay? And at this moment, he began to revert back to being afraid, which anybody would be. He ran out the house. He got in the car. He's fiddling with the door, you know, doing all that unlocking, locking, and he can see Gaetano walking towards him like Michael Myers, bitch, and he just was like fiddling with the thing, and for a second, he just kind of let it go and was like, I'm about to die. You remember what Deffy said, live like a man, die like a man? So he died trying to do the right thing. You know what I mean? He wanted to be a good cop. So he kind of lets go for a moment. He imagines that he's on his wife's lap and she's singing a song again. And we see Gaetano walk up to the window. And it was interesting how Gaetano looked at him like he almost pondered not killing him, or like it affected him in some way. But he shot him 3 times, and Gaetano kind of stares at him. And then he turns around and walks away. And in true Fargo fashion, he dies by tripping over something on the ground, falling on the concrete, and shooting his own self in the head. And for Gaetano's character to end this way, it was perfect. It was Fargo because it was quirky, and not so quirky because we've seen Gaetano trip at least twice this whole season. He always trips, just like he did on the ice. He shot somebody. So you know, this was a cool way for his character to end or whatever. So he cracks his head. He accidentally shoots himself in the head so much to the brain, like his skull cap. Okay, he blew his skull cap back. Okay. And Josto is like, oh my God. He gets out of the car and he looks at the body and he leaves. This was a bad move for Josto. He should not have left that body out there, because this is not going to reflect well on him next week when this all comes together. As Josto drives away, we can see that Otis dies with a smile on his face, knowing that he was at least a good cop. He at least died like a man, which I don't really think he died like a man. But, you know, I guess for him, that was all right. So at Ethelrida's house, we see the door, you know, magically open, and, you know, these things whisk up to the top of the stairs. I don't know if it was a ghost. I don't know if it was Orietta, but we see that Orietta is in the room with Ethelrida standing over her bed, and she pulls out a syringe with something in it, I'm sure that's going to kill her. So as she's, you know, getting her grimace on her face and she's ready to stick it in her, the ghost that we've been seeing the whole season that we just found out about, Roach, he comes out and he kind of scares her. She can tell something is there because she sniffs. She probably smells the sea and the ocean, right? And so he comes out and he scares her, and she screams at the top of her lungs, and she runs back to her apartment. When she gets back to her apartment, guess who's there? The police are there. One of them police almost looked like Daffy a little bit for a second. I thought I had to double take. So they turn around and they say, well, ma'am, we're here because we have an arrest warrant for you. And she's like, what do you mean? She was like, Dr. Harvard woke up. Dr. Harvard woke up and he identified you as his killer. So we definitely are going to take you on. And she's like, okay, well, that sounds great. Just let me get my purse. Just let me grab my purse. I don't know if she was going to try to kill herself or whatever, but she tried to mix on their ass. And they was like, nah, bitch, we gonna take you to jail. So they start handcuffing her and taking her out the room. Y'all, it was hilarious when she screamed, police, police. The man said, ma'am, we are the police, girl. What is the tea? So, I don't think this is the end of Ethelrida. I mean, I don't think this is the end of Orietta. I did see her in the preview for next week, so we'll see a little bit of her next week. We know that she's good at talking herself out of things, so maybe she's going to talk herself out of this one too. Who knows? And my theory was the ghost scared her because, like Mama said, the ghost is attracted to light. They want to be able to haunt your ass forever. Okay, they want to be able to haunt you. So we can't haunt you if you dead. So we need to get rid of this hoe. Okay, I think that's the ghost is territorial. This is his family. He wanna haunt this family, and you can't haunt nobody that's dead. And like I said, she's the only sunshine and light in that whole family. Oh, and as they put Ethelrida in the car, the whole family from across the street stands on the porch and looks at her like, yeah, bitch, you tried us, hoe, but we squatted up on your ass. I'm lady, you going to jail. Ethelrida meets with Lloyd, and she's basically there to negotiate that house getting back to the family. And so they have a little bit of talk at the beginning about nothing, y'all. You know how he just goes on and, you know, about nothing. So she says she's once there, and she says she wants to try to get the house back. She says, you have let us borrow $3,500 and you spread that over 6 months. That was going to be $6,200. He says, well, they stole from me. And she says, well, seeing how you chose not to kill them, I'm assuming that you wanted their punishment to be monetary. And he says, I took their house. And she says, but they still have the deed and they still pay the taxes. Plus, how many men have you lost in this war you have going on? About 27? And he says, around that. She says, no, not around that. Exactly that. I know because the bodies are lined up basically in my parents' basement. Here is the bill for their funeral services. Okay, equals more than what they owe you. And he's like, that's agreement of services rendered. Basically, like, you're gonna do this shit, period, whether I don't care how much it costs. He says, well, I've got something else to offer you. And he's like, what do you mean? She pulls out that ring. She puts it on the table. He says, okay, so now you're going to sell me a stolen ring? She says, no. There's this nurse that lives across my street, and she has, she poisons her victims. She, runs down the whole nurse situation, right? And this ring is from somebody that she took it from. And he's like, okay, girl, what you think I'm going to be able to do with this? And she's like, oh, you'll be able to win the war. I'm going to help you win your war. And she was like, if you can do that, I'll give you anything you want. And she was like, you swear? Swear. And he was like, I swear. And so then she pulls out the picture and gives the picture of Donatello Fada to him. And he says, oh, he clicks, and you know, it like clicks in their brain like, oh yeah, this is it. And I was like, what is it? I want to know what's going to happen. So I think that he's going to give the ring to the Fada family and like try to expose Justo as somebody who has stole or tried to get his father killed. And now with Gaetano being dead, it's very likely that they probably gonna think he had something to do with that, even though that was a complete accident, and it's gonna end up getting him killed. So we'll see what's going on with that next week, but I think that's what's gonna happen. I really like the touch with the music right there, and it was like, she did that, and it was like, yes, she did. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, that music was so good. The end of the episode. So that's how it went off. I really, really like this episode. Like I said, it was awesome. It was well made. It was setting us up for a good finale. I think that we're gonna see Zelmera again. I think Zelmera is gonna come through the clutch. I think she might take care of our Orietta problem. I think that Justo is going to face some swift consequences for doing what he did to his father and, you know, finding out about Gaetano's death. So overall, I think this season is pretty good. I want to see what's going to happen with Satchel, and I think that it's been pretty much confirmed to us now, especially with that speech that he gave to the men in the truck that, you know, it's his life, it's his world. I don't know if he's going to make it back to Kansas or not. What do y'all think? So I want to hear what you guys thought about this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You guys have a happy and blessed Thanksgiving week. You won't hear from me anymore this week. I might pop on here for maybe a live because in the country, I ain't gonna lie, get kind of bored out there with my mom and them. So we'll see what happens, okay? So I will holler at you guys next week for the season finale. Peace.